Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is my third installment of my animals slash wildlife video where you get to see some footage of me going out and photographing mostly raptors. That's like my favorite thing to photograph in my free time. So I actually started filming for this video in March, and just like everybody else with work and a small business that I own and having 100 other things to do, it's hard to get out and photograph wildlife or do whatever it is that you like. So excited to get this video out there. I'm titling this video Living with Barred Owls because I have a pair of nesting barred owls that live on the property somewhere. I haven't found the nest, but that's my goal this winter. I want to see those babies in the spring. I want to see them with food going back and forth. I'm dying to see that. So throughout the summer months, we didn't see them very much this year, only like 2 or 3 times, probably due to the leaves that are on the trees and just not being able to see deep in there, but we heard them constantly. But as of late, for like the past 6 weeks, we haven't heard them, and I haven't even seen them in a while, and I started to get nervous. So just a few nights ago, I was leaving the house and I just saw this silhouette just hanging up in the driveway. I knew it was the owl. I was able to get a photo, but it was terrible because it was so dark. But just this morning was awesome. Jill left the house. She had texted me and said, hey, there's a barred owl in the driveway. I didn't even want to put anything in the mailbox because I didn't want to stop and scare it away. So I ran right out there and was able to get some beautiful photographs of it. To talk gear real quick in this video, I'll make this very short because I know a lot of people aren't interested in it, but kind of excited about this. I've got Sony's new full frame wildlife lens. This is the 200 to 600 lens that they just released. It was a little bit difficult to get this, had to do some searching for it. And also new to me is this Sony a7R3. Pretty good camera, not necessarily for wildlife. You can make it work for it if you know what you're doing, but this bad boy is 42 megapixels, which is awesome. You can do a lot of cropping on 42 megapixels. And for those who are wondering, the last 2 shots in this video are from this setup. The barred owl that you're gonna see in the driveway, and then the great horned owls that I got are from this setup right here, both photo and video. So hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. And with today's video, we start with the ever elusive kingfisher, or at least elusive to me. God, this son of a gun, I cannot get a good photograph of one of these guys. I saw one on the side of the road the other day, got a decent photograph, but not what I was looking for. Anyway, look at this one. He comes back up. You can see he's got a fish in his beak. Watch him swallow it down. Did you know that this bird will actually flip this fish around so that it goes down head first so that the spikes don't get in its throat? Let's move on to a bigger bird, the bald eagle. I saw this bald eagle just hanging out in a tree over the road in Old Saybrook. Was able to stop, get off the road, and grab a little video of this guy hanging out in a tree. This right here, this is a bald eagle's nest. I'm lucky enough to have some friends that have a bald eagle's nest on their property just above their driveway. They see eagles more than I see owls. The biggest eagle's nest ever recorded was found in Florida that they said was about 20 feet tall and weighed over 2,000 pounds. And here's one of the eagles hanging out in the nest. Not sure if this is the male or female, but check out its eyeball and notice its nictitating membrane or third eyelid. This goes back and forth or up and down to keep dust and debris out of their eyeballs. This eagle and its mate had 3 juveniles in their nest last year. And this eagle I saw heading out of the same driveway. I think it's safe to assume that the eagle in the nest and this eagle in the dead branch are a mating pair. What does E stand for? E stands for Essex. E stands for eagle. I was able to spot this bald eagle while driving around in downtown Essex towards the end of the summer. He was pretty chill, just hanging out on this dock going back and forth. I was able to drive around and slide into one of the marinas to get a little closer view of it. For this shot, I'm just sitting in my car, resting the lens on the door frame, trying to hold it as steady as possible and get a decent shot of this eagle. He was just minding his own business, looking back and forth and down into the water, most likely looking for a meal. Check out this red-shouldered hawk. I think it's a juvenile. This little guy was just hanging out just above the road in Main Street on Old Saybrook. I was able to pull over in a parking spot and grab some video of him. If you look closely at his belly, you can see how he has one of his talons tucked away into his feathers and he's just standing on one foot. And this red-shouldered hawk was hanging out in the parking lot of Mystic Market, giving me the stink eye. Now this shot is probably my most favorite hawk shot of the year. I was driving around in Old Saybrook looking for some wildlife, and this guy swooped right in front of my car and I could see that it had a mouse in its talons. He landed right on the side of the road. I was able to pull over and walk up to this hawk and watch him devour this mouse. Look at this guy go to town. Sorry it's so dark, but the light was terrible. Check out these awesome stills of this hawk. You can see how much value a program like Lightroom can bring to a photographer. The video that you saw was the actual light from that day, but in these photographs here, I was able to brighten them up so you can see so much more detail. Let's move on to this pileated woodpecker. An adult pileated woodpecker can be 16 to 19 inches long and have a wingspan of 26 to 30 inches. This was the first one that I was able to ever get good video and photos of. This was actually at my house too. What I love about this scene is that it started snowing and it added such a nice mood to the video. Look at the size of the hole that this thing is digging in this tree. They should call this thing the jackhammer. I don't know if it was digging a hole for food or digging a hole for a house, but wow, it was awesome to watch. Welcome, reporting here on the side of the road in Old Lyme by Ashlawn Farm Coffee, and this is another one of those reasons why you never leave your camera at home. There's a barred owl sitting on a tree right out here just after we got a little bit of snow. It's beautiful. Let's grab some photos and video. This is probably my most favorite scene throughout the whole year of wildlife photography and videography. Just look at that healthy barred owl. Looks like he's been eating pretty good, doesn't it? Sitting on that branch, just moving its head, looking around, the snow on the branches, just a beautiful scene. I wonder what they think about. I wonder what their favorite meal is. And I love when he just looks at me and looks away and is not even bothered. I was able to get a couple nice stills out of the shot. I even entered one of them into a photo contest and won nothing. Didn't even get honorable mention. It's amazing how well these birds can camouflage themselves in the trees. I don't know if you can see him, but he's right in the middle of the scene, and it's really hard to make out unless you can see his head turned backwards. Now, check out this up-close barred owl sitting down on the ground eating something. Jill and I were on the way to Maine, and I spotted this bad boy on the side of the road from a mile away, just sitting down there. After we pulled over and watched him for a little bit, we actually thought that he was hurt. We couldn't tell. We thought something was wrong with his wing. I ended up getting out of the car and going over closer to him to see if he was okay, and ended up flying away, which I was really happy about, because if something was wrong with that owl, I probably would have ended up staying on the side of the road until a DEP or some kind of raptor rehabilitation center person got there. I was able to get a couple absolutely gorgeous up close still of this owl. Look at the light hitting its face. Look at that beak. Look at those eyeballs. Look at those little mustache hairs coming out over the beak. Just gorgeous. Now let's change the weather and visit this barred owl in Waterford, Connecticut at Jill's parents' house. This is an owl that they say they see very often. As of late, they actually haven't seen it, but there was a time in the spring and early summer where I think Mr. and Mrs. Mack were seeing this bird at least once, maybe a couple times a week for quite a big stretch there. Not the best video quality here, as it was a little foggy that day and trying to shoot the rain. This guy was just hanging out on a rainy day, tucked under the pines, trying to avoid the raindrops. Of course, I switched over to manual mode and grabbed a couple nice stills of this barred owl. Now let's make way back to my house. Here's one of the two barred owls on the property that wasn't hanging out in the driveway, more towards the street. It was pretty dark this night. My ISO is pretty pumped up right here. I was able to grab a few stills of this bird, but they barely came out. And here's the other one. I'd say that these two owls were within 50 feet of each other, just looking back and forth for food. I think it's amazing how they can rotate their necks as much as they can. Now this beautiful scene was from the next day, with a little better light. Here are the same two owls again, just hanging out in the woods on the left side of the driveway, of course looking for a meal. Now here we are on May 4th. Here are the two barred owls sitting in the tree right next to each other after a soaking, pouring wet night. You could see how wet they are. Now before those owls turned around and before that one flew away, they were sitting in that branch right next to each other facing me. They were rubbing their beaks into each other, they were looking all around. It was absolutely adorable. After that one flew off right there, he flew up closer to the road where I was able to pull over and get some shots of him hanging out on this branch. You can see he's just kind of plucking himself or pulling feathers off. I don't know, maybe it's something that they do after they get wet, but it was really cute. You can see how the feathers are stuck to its beak. He's just checking me out, wondering what I'm doing, and I'm wondering the same about him. Now let's fast forward quite a few months to October 31st on this rainy Halloween day. Look at the beautiful leaves in the background. It's raining. It's set up for such a beautiful photograph that you're going to see in a few seconds here. Not sure what this owl is just getting ready to do, but he looks up into the air. He puffs up his chest at me like he's trying to show me who's boss, or maybe he's just got an itch or something crawling on him. Notice he's got one talon on the branch, one talon off the branch. His wings are kind of separated from his body a little bit. Then he tucks himself back in and gets into a comfortable position. And of course, he set me up for the best owl photograph I've ever taken. The raindrops, the foliage, the eye contact, all of it, right in my own backyard. I love this photo. And here's the last barred owl clip of this video, brought to you again from my own backyard. This guy was on the left side of the driveway this morning. It's December 14th right now. I woke up to a text message from Jill that said, "Oh my God, barred owl in the driveway. I didn't even want to get out of the car to put the mail in the mailbox and scare it." So of course I jump out of bed, run out there about 45 minutes later, and it was still there to line me up with this shot. Okay, sorry, I lied. This is the last barred owl shot of this video. This is the following day from the clip that you just saw. This owl yesterday sat in the same exact spot from 7:30 in the morning till 4:30 at night. First thing I did when I got up today was I went out to see if this owl was in the same spot, and sure enough, it was. Just sitting there, soaked from the rain, staring right at me, looking beautiful. I was able to get my tripod set up and get a nice steady shot of this guy just sitting there in the rain. And for the last part of this video, I bring you two absolutely beautiful great horned owls. Wow, look at those things. Just sitting in that tree right next to each other. They're actually touching. From what I understand, the female is on the left and the male is on the right. The females are about 30% bigger than the males. Again, I just stared at these animals for, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, just wondering what they think about, what's going through their mind, etc. Absolutely beautiful. Well, if you've made it this far, I want to say thank you. This is the end of my video. I really appreciate you watching. This is a deep, deep passion of mine. I love wildlife. I love animals. Owls, as you can tell, are definitely my favorite. How lucky are we to have owls that live on this property? It's like a blessing. So thank you so much. Consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Granted, it takes me a long time to gather this, but who knows, if these owls stick around like this, maybe I could make like a monthly video. Hopefully I find that nest. Hopefully I get those babies in the spring. I'll see everybody soon.